Hello, my friends. Here we go, episode 15, live from the M Factor Studios in downtown Jackson. This is the A to G Show, brought to you by the M Factor channel. I am Adam Amble. Thanks for joining us live on Facebook on a just gorgeous Wednesday evening here in Jackson. We got the scoop on Michigan b-ball coaching hire, Spitfire, and of course, Call the Three a little later on. Of course, joining me as always, Garrett Collier. G, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing, buddy. It's such a nice day, man. I mean, I got the day off work from the golf course because it rained this morning, and then it turned into a beautiful day. I was like, this is great. This is great.
Congratulations on that, man. Wish I had your luck there. It is gorgeous out there, man. It's light out. Sun came out earlier this afternoon.
For sure.
Just fantastic. But let's get right started into our first topic. Michigan, kind of breaking news today. It was kind of expected yesterday, but they made it official today. Michigan has found their new head coach. Former Fab Five member Juwan Howard named as the basketball head coach for $2 million a year for 5 years. He's been an assistant with the Heat for about 6 years now. Was really kind of the creator of the Fab Five. A lot of people don't remember this. He was the first one that actually got recruited.
Yep.
And he was the one that kind of went out and recruited Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, and those guys, and really got them into town and stuff like that. So kind of the unsung hero of the Fab Five. Of course, a lot of people don't think the Fab Five were anything to write home about, right? I'm sure Jeff Collier out there probably doesn't think so, but. He's been an assistant for the Heat for 6 years. No real head coaching experience, although he has been in the talks over this past year once the playoffs started and stuff like that for some NBA jobs.
He interviewed
and stuff like
for the
that.
Lakers,
So, yeah, he did. Yep, interviewed for the Lakers, didn't get the job. But what do you think about the hire, G?
Man, I'm very on the fence about it. I'm excited as a Michigan guy. I like that now. Our football and our basketball coaches are both former players in their perspective in their respective sport. Like that we got Michigan guys. The troubling part of it to me is that transition from NBA back to college for him. I think that he's going to find that college basketball is an entirely different landscape than the NBA right now. I think the way the game is played is different. I think recruiting is just a totally different animal. I think, yes, he was the one who helped recruit C-Web and Jalen and Jimmy and all those guys and Ray. But recruiting then was so different than it is now. It's just a totally different monster, and he hasn't experienced that yet. Sure, he's done the summer league. I think the thing that will help is he's done the summer league with the Heat. He was their head coach the last 2 years for the summer league. And so he's dealt with the young guys, the guys that are just leaving college, and he kind of knows the mentality and the mindset as far as that goes. I think it's either going to work out really, really well, or 5 years from now we're going to be like, what were we thinking that this was going to be a good idea? I think it's one or the other.
Let's hope not.
I think it's one or the other.
It's really a good question, though, G, is exactly what type of system is he going to bring in?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He's already been called, like you mentioned, you alluded to, the fact that we now have two former athletes for Michigan, two-star athletes, really, because he had a great last year at Michigan. Juwan Howard did, and, of course, Harbaugh. They're already calling him the Harbaugh of Michigan basketball. Right? Now, they're saying that simply, folks, not because of his style and stuff like that, obviously because he'll probably bring in some decent recruiting. Hopefully we can get Wilson back to Jalen Wilson or whatever it was that we lost after Beeline decided to roll out. Hopefully we can get him back because I think he's a real good player.
Absolutely.
Other than that, though, I'm just really curious to see, are we going to see kind of the mid-range between a fast-paced offense and Beeline's offense, and then, kind of somewhere in between there? Or do we go from like a Beeline offense to, I'm sure like your dad, Jeff, wants to see that Wisconsin offense, that old Bo Ryan offense that he was so in love with. What do you think about that, G?
I think you gotta go with the times, man. I think college basketball is speeding up. I liked Beeline's methodical mentality because he did it at both ends. He slowed you down on the defensive end by playing really good defense, and then we'd take our time and look for a good shot at the offensive end. But I do think that college basketball is becoming more and more high scoring. I don't mind. I mean, look at how successful it was for teams like Duke and Michigan State and even Purdue this year, getting quick shots and finding success with that. I think that Michigan absolutely could do that. The thing that's going to be more interesting than that to me is going to be like the recruiting side of it, because Michigan for the last 12 years while Beeline was there doesn't land a lot of big-name recruits and still finds great success via good coaching and implementing a system that works regardless of the players that you have. I think it'll be important to see if Juwan Howard can do the same, both recruit some good names, but also with the players that you do get that are 2- and 3-star guys, can you coach them up to the point that they're playing at a 4- and 5-star level? I think that's just as important. You know what I mean?
Yep, I agree. And exactly to your point, Does he get the 5-star recruits? The one-and-doners. Are we going back to one-and-doners again at Michigan? Well, not again. They've never really had them, but just a few.
Yeah.
But are they going back to one-and-doners, or are we going to see like system-type players again, like Beeline traditionally would recruit and stuff like that? So I'm really excited about it. Personally, I think that the summer will tell a lot, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see exactly, because other breaking news was Iggy actually did declare
staying in the draft
officially for the draft.
Has Jordan Poole?
They're all three gone.
Yep,
all three are gone. So that's a shame. I really wish that, especially Poole and Iggy, obviously come back and stuff like that. But we'll see how the current players fit into Juwan's offense. Does he really try to mesh with them, or does he basically say, all right, once you guys are done,
doing my thing.
We're going to my style of players and stuff like that. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Right.
It'll be really interesting, but I'm excited about it. I'm still looking forward to Michigan football though, so I'm not jumping ahead to basketball.
Right.
So
for sure.
Let's hold up real quick, pump the brakes. It's great. Again, thanks for joining us, folks, on the A to G Show. I'm Adam Amble, along with Garrett Collier here in beautiful downtown Jackson. Tell you what, it is gorgeous out there tonight, isn't it, buddy? But I would like to jump to our new Spitfire.
Hell yeah.
We got going on our Spitfire segment. Basically, we bring up the hottest topics, or debates, I guess you would say. Debates of all throughout the sports history, pretty much. I mean, nothing's off limits here.
Yeah.
Again, everyone join in. We really like to see the comments and stuff like that. Let us know your opinions, because that's really what it's all about. That's why we do the show. We like to see what you guys have to say. And if you guys want to see any questions or debates for next week's show, let us know as well. So let's get right into it. G, first one, I'll go first, and that is, why isn't soccer as popular in the United States? And it is. I got to bring that up to you, buddy. I know you're a very big soccer fan and stuff.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. I think it's just an oversaturation of sports. If you look at like the UK, where soccer is king, if you look at Europe, where soccer is king, they really only play 3 sports really seriously. It's soccer, rugby, and basketball, or 2 of the 3. Whereas here we have major professional leagues for football, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, baseball. The list goes on. There's professional track and field is big here. I just think, when you have 30 different sports channels to pick from, something's going to fall by the wayside, and we like fast-paced, quick-hitting, whatever, and soccer's not that. Soccer is a slow, deliberate game that takes 90 minutes to maybe score 1 or 2 goals and get a win. It's not something that we want to largely consume, I don't think, unfortunately. I find it super entertaining. I can watch a game that ends 0-0 and be like, damn, that was a great game, whereas a lot of people are like, well, if the final score was 0-0, then why am I watching?
Yeah.
And I can totally relate to that. I've never gotten super upset when people talk junk about soccer, because I get it. I like watching a 10-8 game in the MLB more than a 0-0 game in MLB. I totally understand. I like watching a football game that ends 31-28 rather than 10-7. I completely get it. We like scoring. We like highlights, that kind of thing. I just think that there's a lot more that goes into soccer mentality and concept and training and all of that. So it's interesting to me. But yeah, I just think it's an oversaturation. There's too many good athletes in the United States in other sports.
Yes.
And I think that's another part of it that goes overlooked, is we kind of suck at it. I think that's part of the reason it's not popular.
Well, I also think that's why we suck at it, because a lot of times...
Exactly. It's like a scale.
I will say in most developed countries and stuff like that, most prosperous country, or the prosperous countries and stuff like that, soccer is a cheap sport, right? It's a cheap sport. And obviously you want to play it in good weather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's not forget, the United States, half the country is
cold,
blanketed in snow.
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't want to go outside.
Or it's 110.
Exactly. And kick the ball. Yeah, exactly. Even on the opposite side of that. You're not going to go outside and kick the ball around when it's dead snow out there. And
I agree.
all you need is a ball. You need a ball and 2 rocks,
couple posts,
right? You know what I mean?
I mean, I've seen there's videos from when the World Cup was it the year it was in South Africa, where they were playing with 2 shoes on the ground, and they literally were using anything like beach ball. It doesn't matter, you know.
I really think that's my take on it, is why it's not so popular. Is you are spot on with just the abundance of great sports that we have to watch. Television, of course, obviously plays a big part in that. Advertising plays a big part in it. And again, from the boring standpoint, if you want to call it that, the low scoring games and stuff like that. Personally, that's I don't get into it because of that. But then you could say the same for like hockey and stuff like that. If you want scoring, let's get into low scoring.
Basketball's the way to go.
Yeah, exactly. If you want fast pace and go, right, exactly. Let's go basketball. But in terms of soccer, watching it with people that actually enjoy soccer and really like it, they are really good at getting excited about not scoring.
That is one
thing
I'll
I mean?
say.
They get in the zone or something like that, and they're starting to go crazy. That counts as a win for them almost.
No, there's just a lot of periods. I mean, I can nerd out about soccer for this whole podcast. You know what I mean? But
we don't want to do that. We don't want to bore everyone.
No, but it's fun. I mean, I love going to soccer games. There's a club in Detroit. They're a semi-pro soccer club called Detroit City FC, and they sell 5,000 tickets to every game. They sell out their stadium in this little suburb of Detroit called Hamtramck, and their fans are wild.
The capital
fun
of Detroit,
to watch.
Hamtramck.
And it's just it's a cool thing to me that you have a 5-minute period of where you're just pressing the other team and the other team's playing really good defense and the ball's in that end over and over again. It's exciting if you like the game, but like the flip side of that coin is you might not score for that whole time of attacking play. You might get no reward for it, and some some people that are trying to get into soccer get frustrated by that, and I understand both sides of it.
I do too.
I don't think it'll ever be big here. I really don't.
Either.
I would love for it to be. Don't get me wrong. I've always said that if the World Cup is ever back in the United States, which it's going to be, I don't remember when, but it's going to come back. I will go to a game. I have to go to a game.
We got Women's World Cup over in France this summer. Right?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and I've been when they bring the European clubs over to the United States, I've been to the Big House and watched them twice, and it's 100,000 people.
Yeah, my younger sister goes.
I think the cool thing to me about that is those are all the people that are like me. That of their friends, they're the only one that likes soccer, and we're all in the same place in Michigan, like gathering to watch these clubs that we get to watch every weekend. And they're in person.
Yeah, they're fun, right? I
mean, it's a blast.
It's a good time there and stuff like that. So. Right. So go ahead, G. You got the next one.
I got the next one. Oh man, I have a list. I just don't want one to pick.
I know that's the problem. Right?
Okay, here we go. I got a good one. So we've talked a lot about the greatest player of all time debate in the NBA, LeBron, Jordan, whatever. It's pretty clear cut. Everybody seems to agree that Phil Jackson is the greatest NBA coach of all time. He's got 11 rings, more than anyone else.
Does everyone agree with that?
It seems like it. That seems like the general consensus. But my question is, was it Phil Jackson, or was it the fact that he arguably had the two greatest 1-2 duos in the history of the NBA with Shaq and Kobe and Scottie and Jordan? Do you think Phil Jackson is that superior a coach, that he has more rings than anyone, or do you think that he got very fortunate with the players he had? Or is it could be both, I guess.
Yeah, I do not think that he was a great coach of talent. So like you alluded to just now, he had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, of course, one of the greatest duos of all time. Then he got basically handed, right? He got handed Shaq and Kobe
on a platter, man.
Of course. And my big thing is he had his triangle offense and stuff like that. He created his triangle offense. Okay, that's great. But it only works. Other people have tried the triangle offense. It's a true system, right? Other people have tried the triangle offense and failed. So does that more lean towards him being a great coach, or does that lean towards his system working with those types of players?
Pieces.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Everyone calls and I'll go back to New England Patriots. Is that a system? Or is that just always a good team, a good run team? I'm going to argue it's a good, well-ran franchise simply because why wouldn't everyone try that system then? Right. Well, Brady has Belichick and stuff like that. Not to change off Phil Jackson.
You're good.
But everyone's like, people have tried that with much better quarterbacks apparently than Tom Brady and much better coaches than Bill Belichick. Why can't they duplicate it? So when it comes to Phil Jackson, sorry, G. When it comes to Phil Jackson, I think that his is a little different than Belichick and Brady.
Exactly.
I think that he actually he came into all this talent that just happened to fit his style of offense just perfectly. And I honestly think that if he were to go to a mediocre team, not so much mediocre, even less than arguably, like you said, two of the best tandem.
Right.
My younger sister, Allison, thanks for watching, guys. But Greg Popovich, she states,
as a debate for the best
coach.
coach. Yeah. I mean,
what do you got, G?
No, I think as far as the best coach debate, Popovich would be 1A to me. I think Phil Jackson's the best. You can't really argue 11 rings, man. That's incredible. But yeah, Popovich has done a lot with a little. As far as he had Tim Duncan his whole career and a bunch of ragtag pieces thrown around it, and he kept making it work. I think going back to the Belichick comparison, I think that you get that comparison a lot. Is like Belichick is and I think it's different in that the pieces of the Patriots seem to change every year. It's Tom Brady and this ragtag group of whoever.
Yeah.
It's not like it's I tend to lean towards Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. And I think that has helped Belichick. I really do. But in football, there's two sides of the ball. You got to play defense too.
Yeah.
And he'll bring in 8 new starters every year from the year before. He let Malcolm Butler walk. He let Vince Wilfork walk. He's let so many players. He doesn't want to pay them. He'll bring in a bunch of system guys on defense. Like Kyle Van Noy leaves the Lions where he was doing nothing and gets 95, 100 tackles there. Teddy Bruschi leaves. He fills in the hole with Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel takes a head coaching job. He gets Kyle Van Noy. It doesn't matter. Belichick has a way of replacing those guys, whereas Phil Jackson never had to do that. Scotty and Jordan were there for every ring, and Kobe and Shaq were there for every ring.
Scott Uleberry brings up a good point. Thanks for joining, Scotty. Steve Kerr was the common thread with Pop and Phil.
Yep. That's what it was.
Ties them together. It's true.
And look at him as a coach. No, I'm just playing. I actually saw something today. He is the first. Oh shoot, what was it? I'm going to mess this up. It was something like he's the first to make it 4 times as both a player and a head coach. I want to say that's what it was. Or maybe it was, I think it's 5. 5 appearances both as a player and as a coach.
Steve Kerr has been successful in everything that he has done.
But, I mean, he walked into a stacked deck
player,
in Golden
State. He was good role player, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's been I think he's been like a GM. He's been
he was a good GM, and he was a great analyst. I'm not knocking Steve Kerr. I'm not knocking Steve Kerr.
Apparently,
but I think
he was pretty good at everything. I just heard this the other day that
but Mark,
everything.
I don't know. This is off topic from what we were talking about, but I think Mark Jackson was doing a really good job with the Warriors, and Steve Kerr stepped in and just took it up a notch. I mean, you had Stephen Clay and Draymond, and they were getting those 3 were all when Steve Kerr got there.
He has received gifts.
They were about to reach their prime, and Steve Kerr said, "Hey, y'all shoot like crazy, and we'll ride it out and we'll play good defense."
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Phil Jackson. I think he is a lot of great, very talented athletes around him. I'm not knocking him. I think he's probably he's the most successful NBA coach of all time. You might not think he's the best. He's the most successful when it comes to championships. So I was just curious what your thoughts were.
I definitely think he's right up there at the top. Best ever. It's hard to say, of course. It's
so difficult. GOAT debates get so heated too.
That's probably one of the arguments we will never get into especially on Spitfire, because it's so old. We don't want to know who the best is, and it's so hard to do. Here's a fun one for you, G. Alrighty. You'll like this. So we get into a little fictional action here.
Okay.
Clubber Lang versus Ivan Drago in the Rocky movies. So Clubber Lang, obviously Mr. T from Rocky 3, for those of you living under a rock Garrett might have not been born, obviously wasn't born.
They were all made before I was born, but I've seen all the Rocky movies.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you know exactly, you remember, obviously.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. No, I watched them like in my teens. Like I watched them fairly recently.
Okay.
I was a teenager.
Okay.
Like 6 years ago.
So Clubber Lang was Mr. T. Ivan Drago, the big Russian and stuff like that.
Yep.
Who do you got in that fight?
That's easy. It's Drago.
Okay.
For sure. Drago almost beat Rocky. If Rocky
Clubber did beat Rocky.
Yeah, but that's different.
I know Mick was
different.
Not there.
Rocky wasn't
like
at his peak when he fought him. You know, Rocky was like, you know what I think? I think the only reason that Rocky beat Drago was because Drago killed his friend. Because
that's a good point.
He was motivated. What motivation did he have to beat up Mr. What's his name? I never remember the character's name.
Mr. T. Clubber Lang.
I'm gonna call him Mr. T for
that's
making
cool.
It simple.
That's cool.
I think that Mr. T met Rocky when Rocky was on top of the world and caught him slipping a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Whereas when Drago fought Rocky hadn't fought in months. The only reason that Rocky was fighting was to avenge Creed's death, right? Yeah. And he was just so motivated. Drago won that. If Rocky doesn't knock Drago out and that fight goes to the judges, Drago wins the fight. Drago won the first 8 rounds, and then Rocky just started punching back finally. Yeah. Drago was beating him. I think Drago...
He kind of like not huge into boxing and stuff. I know you watch a lot of MMA, G, but not huge into boxing. But it seems like Rocky had the exact same... Just outlast them, and then basically his work ethic.
Mayweather.
His work ethic was the last round or whatever. Yep. He went pretty tough against Clubber Lang. Let us know, folks, who would win, Clubber Lang or Ivan Drago.
I don't want this to be my next topic, but did you see the Deontay Wilder?
Oh yeah, that was insane.
Did you hear what he said before the fight?
No.
He sounded like Drago. Remember when Drago knocked out Creed?
I must break you or what?
No, when Drago knocked out Creed, they asked him. He said, "If he dies, he dies."
Oh.
Deontay Wilder said. Brazil, the guy he was fighting, had talked junk about like Wilder's mom and wife, which like you don't touch those topics. He said in an interview before the fight, he said, if you ask any doctor, the human brain ain't made to be hit, and right now we got beef. He said if it's his time to go, it's his time to go. I was like, holy shit, knocked him out in the first round.
I like it.
One punch knockout. Anyway,
I like
boxing is such a weird sport, man. You're in a square with another human being
and just beating the crap out of each other.
Trying to kill each other.
Beating the crap out of each other.
So strange, man.
Yeah, I'll take Ivan Drago as well, just because I thought Clubber Lang was a punk.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
Fair enough.
I didn't like his attitude, and Drago from Mother Russia.
Yeah. All juiced to the gills, man.
Oh,
that guy was crazy.
Let's not forget steroids.
Steroids were involved.
Oh, where's Jeff on that one?
I think we
do have to say, sorry, hold up real quick. We got some comments. First of all, Raymond Pierce and Landon Snyder will not be bringing up any more hockey maybe G has some on his.
My next topic could include hockey.
Okay, all right, so stay tuned, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Scott Hubert says Drago was a real-life kickboxer and hit Sly so hard during it took that he put him in intensive care for a while.
Is this a true story?
Yeah.
Wow. Are we trusting Scotty that he's not full of shit?
I don't know. Scotty, you need to source that one.
We'll believe him.
I think Allison Hubble says, I think the real question is who had the best haircuts. You got to go.
Mr. T.
You got to go. You got to go with
was iconic.
Clubber Lang.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got, G?
Yeah, I was watching.
Thanks for joining in, folks. Appreciate it.
I was watching Around the Horn today, and they were talking about some of the greatest sports pictures of all time. And I was wondering what your thoughts are. What is the greatest sports photo to you?
Oh, this is a great question. Great question.
Scott said I'll source it. I'm not your producer, though.
Thanks, Scott.
Hey, we've been saying for weeks that we need a temp. We need unpaid help.
That's right. Let's see. Favorite sports picture. I'll tell you what. I wasn't a fan of Jordan really when he was playing, but I love the picture of him when he's like in midair,
floating with the game winner
of the free throw dunk, of the free throw line dunk.
Oh, I thought you were going to say of the game winner where he's like drifting to the left on the jumper. Okay.
No. From the free throw line. I really enjoy that one. What's yours?
This is why I said it could involve hockey. Is that picture of Bobby Orr like parallel to the ground with his hands up because he scored that goal in the cup against the Blues for the Bruins. That one's pretty iconic to me. Another one to me, I don't know why I will always remember this. I think it was just because I was at like a fairly impressionable age and I loved Drew Brees. The picture of him holding his baby and his baby's got the big ass headphones on.
Oh yeah.
After they won the Super Bowl, I've always loved that picture. There's so many, man. So when I was watching Around the Horn today, they were arguing about it, and I started looking up some of them, and I was like, well, you forget about pictures because we live in such a video-driven world. You want highlights, you want replays, this and that. But like photography is such a different thing. There's a picture of Tyrone Prothro when he broke his leg for Alabama, where his leg is like at a 90-degree angle in the middle of his shin. That I had forgotten I saw. There's the pictures when I hate to bring it up, when App State beat Michigan at the Big House, of them carrying their coach off. Like there's so many iconic photos that you forget about because we live in such a video world.
That's not cool, G. That's not cool.
Sorry.
Apologize for all those Michigan fans. All of us Michigan fans.
I said I hate to bring it up. There's also like the one of Tiger doing the fist bump after the chip on 15 at the Masters.
I was also going to bring up, you brought up the injuries, the Joe Theismann, the moment that... I
haven't seen that one.
What about the Louisville guy? The Louisville guy with Coach K. Kevin Ware with Coach K in the background just staring at him. That was pretty... Well,
that injury was nasty.
Yeah, it was.
Is that the worst sports injury you've ever seen? Theismann and Kevin Ware? Those are the worst I've seen.
Kevin Ware, for sure.
I don't know. Gordon Hayward's ankle. Game 1 of the year, and it just was roll. Oh, that was bad, too.
Good one by Allison. Muhammad Ali over Sonny Liston. Of course. How did we forget that one?
Black and white.
Yeah, good call. Just right over him. That's a good one.
That's a good picture. Scotty sent us a link. I'm going to believe him. If he sent a link, he's got to be telling the truth.
Everyone can take a look at that. Good job, Scotty. Thanks for that, buddy.
We like the sourcing.
Yep, exactly. So let's see. Excuse me again. Thanks for joining us on the A to G show on this beautiful Wednesday evening. Again, for those of you watching, make sure you comment. Make sure you share this so we can get more people involved and stuff like that. Just share it on Facebook and stuff. We really appreciate it. I'm Adam Amble along with Garrett Collier, G. And, Landon brought up a good one. Photo of Barry Pearson with his punt return against the Buckeyes in '69. Yeah, there's some good ones out there. I'll tell you what.
To be honest, I don't know what that is.
You have to look that one up. It's pretty.
What about Dwight Clark, the catch? There's that one from the back of the end zone of him.
How about Charles Woodson with the interception in the end zone against Washington State?
Oh, I was going to say the one-handed one on the sideline against Michigan State.
Well, that's just a great play.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
What about the one of Rodman where he's laid out for the rebound? You know what I'm talking about? Where he's like parallel to the ground with the ball in his hands? That's a crazy one. There's so many, dude.
Those are great. Great question. Great question.
I think the Muhammad Ali one might win. I don't know who said that, but props.
That was Allison, Allison.
That's a good call.
That was probably one of the more famous ones, of course.
Yeah, that's a really good call.
Your dad says Chris Webber calling the timeout.
Okay, I'm done with that topic. Moving on.
To the next subject. All right.
Moving on.
As we all know, a lot of the major sports have a salary cap. G, I got to know, are you into a hard cap, soft cap, or a no cap for salary caps?
Oh, man. Are we talking... here's where it gets gray.
Well, we got hard cap, obviously, in the NFL.
No, I'm saying...
Soft cap in baseball.
I'm saying, are we looking out for the athlete, or are we looking out for the good of that league?
Well, we got to be looking out for the good of the league. Do you think it's good for the sport? How about that?
No, I don't think it promotes parity in any way. Look at the Houston Astros. Exhibit A is the Houston Moneyball, the Oakland Athletics. There's so many low budget baseball teams that can compete with the big budget teams that I genuinely think if you did need some like Harvard or MIT grad to do some big study into it.
Guys.
But I'm not even sure that a salary cap promotes parity. I really don't believe that it does, because you can take the sports that have salary caps, for example. Let's say the NFL. Look at the Cleveland Browns. Look at the Detroit Lions. Look at these teams. Look at the New York Jets that haven't won a ring in so long, haven't even had a sniff of a ring in so long. I don't think it really helps. I think it's a great idea, in theory, to say, well, we're going to make the game fair because Team A can spend the same as Team 32.
That's all they were trying to do, is create parity.
I think that pro sports should try to promote parity. I completely think they do. Yeah. I just don't think that salary cap is necessarily the way to do it. I think if you look at the NBA, you've got your Lakers and your Celtics that were great for so long, and now look at the Warriors now. They have 5, if DeMarcus Cousins counts, all-stars on that team within the hard cap.
That's more
the NBA is a soft cap.
Yeah, it's a soft cap.
But there's still like these veterans that are like maybe coming off an injury or really want to get a ring will sign a small 1-year deal. Look at Boogie Cousins. Look at even Kevin Durant took a pay cut to go to Golden State from Oklahoma City. Look at Klay Thompson. He's not on a max. There's ways around it.
I'm from a standpoint of you got all three of these leagues with all different type of salary caps, right? And all three of them technically, well, besides maybe baseball, which doesn't have a cap at all.
Right.
Like the hard cap to try to create parity, guess what? In the NFL, doesn't work.
You got the Patriots are great every year.
The Patriots, yep, you got the Patriots.
Right. Look at
the soft cap in basketball, doesn't work. You got the Warriors. No, we're talking currently, of course.
Well,
we still have all these dynasties.
But I'm saying it goes both ways. You're going to have your elite teams that are elite because they have good GMs, good coaches, good presidents.
It all depends on how they're ran.
And then you're going to have the cellar dwellers because they have shitty coaching, GMs, and presidents, and that's going to go on whether you have a salary cap or not. Like Billy Beane in the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
Would they have like 1/10 to spend as what the Yankees did that year that they beat?
Well, remember, it was like, here's like Boston and New York. Here's
the
all
bottom feet of crap,
and then 100 feet of crap.
And here's us.
Is us. Yeah.
Right.
But we talked about that last week.
We were watching it before the episode.
We're big fans of Moneyball, folks. If you haven't seen it, go take a look at it.
Best baseball movie of all time?
Moneyball? The best baseball? Nah, I really like Field of Dreams and stuff like that.
No, Moneyball's way better. It's based on a true story, bro.
Jeff Collier brings hard cap, brings more fans to the seats. Look at the empty baseball and basketball seats.
Does that have to do with the hard cap, or does it have to do with the less games at home in a year?
I would say less games and exciting. Let's face it.
You've only got 8.
You would obviously agree with this, Garrett. Football is America's sport, regardless of college, regardless of
as much as
NBA.
I would personally rather watch basketball, football dominates in the United States.
It does.
Not even football. Even the NFL is just on another level.
Yeah.
You can hate Roger Goodell. You can hate the Patriots. You can hate this and that. You can hate the players kneeling. The NFL's king.
And you're absolutely right. The games, the amount of games and stuff like that.
I think that has a lot. So, like, look at baseball. If you look at the St. Louis Cardinals, they sell out every game. The Dodgers sell out almost every game. The Cubs sell out every game.
Red Sox.
It's the Tigers that suck. And there's 60. What do they play? 162 games. So there's 81 home games every year. Of course,
and if you make the playoffs
seats.
And you got like 3 more 7-game series.
Even like take the Charlotte Hornets, for example. They're playing 41 home games. They might win 7 of them. Nobody's going to that. I think that has more to do with how bad those teams are and how saturated that is. There's too many home games. Too many Wednesday night games nobody wants to go to.
Yes, Elson, hockey does have a hard cap. Actually, it's really severe.
Why does everyone want to talk about hockey today? We don't know anything about hockey.
I don't know. Well, maybe we should. We're going to start watching.
Wayne Gretzky, Steve Eisman back in Detroit, boys.
Yeah, how about that? Woo! Woo! All right,
that was like the biggest Detroit hockey news in a decade, and we didn't say a word about it on this podcast.
Sorry, Red Wings fans. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Red Wings fan.
I'd go to a game if they didn't suck.
Ooh.
But they're terrible.
Sorry, I think our boy is a Tampa Bay fan. Our boy Ray Pierce is a Tampa Bay fan. I know Lando's a big.
Unless you're from Tampa Bay, you have no reason to be.
He lives there.
You know what? Oh, okay, fair enough. It's like those Ohio State fans in Michigan. I'm like, why? They're
like,
oh, well, I'm from Ann Arbor. I'm like, die in a hole.
All right, G, what do you got next, buddy?
I wasn't prepared. Okay. We always talk about records and records being broken. What are a couple records that you think will never be touched? Obviously, Wilt's a 100-point game.
I had this one.
Did you?
No, I had it. Actually, I had it last week. But a couple records that will
Wilt's
never be
100-point game immediately comes to mind. One person has been within 30 points of it.
The most wins by a pitcher over his
Cy
career.
Young, yeah.
Yeah, Cy Young. Jeez, oh, Pete, sorry. Brain fart, folks.
Well, and like complete games as well, just because of the change. We talked about this last week.
Yes.
That baseball is mostly the same as it was 100. That's the one difference is pitchers don't pitch every day and they don't pitch nearly as many innings.
You think someone will bat over 400 ever again in the season?
Yeah, I do.
Even with as good as pitching is now?
Yeah, I do. I think that I think pitching is top heavy. Does that make sense? That I think there's the top tier of pitching is better than it's ever been, but I think tiers 2, 3, and 4 are kind of crappy. I think a guy like Trout could. I think power hitting has gone down, but I think contact hitting is where it's always been.
Yeah, I think the Cy Young thing would probably be the one most
in baseball.
Just because you're right, pitchers don't pitch complete games. They're not pitching 30 games a season anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They're just not pitching the amount of games. And let's face it, they're these are some great ones coming in. Jeff Collier says home runs. Jeff, is that career or
regardless?
Season?
Neither will get touched ever.
Zach
He's
Higby, great
right.
one. Cal Ripken Jr.
Games in a row.
Games. That's a great one.
Zach, no one will get half.
Great
of
one.
that.
Eggs.
Yeah,
and
that's
Collier
totally
had to bring
right.
up steroids again. Scott Uleberry, all of Gretzky's records.
Yeah, that's
hockey again.
Hockey's so different though. Hockey is a different game than it was, and Gretzky played way more on the ice than Crosby and Ovechkin ever will.
Yeah.
I think Ovechkin's a better hockey player than Gretzky. I'm gonna piss all the hockey people off right now. Call me a millennial. I don't care.
Well, at least he didn't say Sid the Kid Crosby or whatever.
I'm not allowed to say that F word on the show, am I?
They don't call me kid for nothing.
Forget Sidney Crosby. I'm not a fan.
Not a fan?
Miss me with that.
All right, right on.
What's your next topic, brother?
Let's see. We got, should colleges suffer for their athletes' mistakes?
Give me an example, because I think
let's see. Like, a lot of schools will get banned from bowl games, the NCAA tournament, for their players taking money and not necessarily, school, because the school they got boosters, but they also have alumni paying these kids. And
I
stuff,
think this is a lot simpler than we make it out to be. If one kid on your team makes a mistake, punish the kid. If it's a program issue, absolutely, the school should be held responsible. I think if you look at the U teams where there was 15 guys in trouble, the North Carolina teams where half the football team was having people take tests for them. If you look at SMU when they got in trouble, it's pretty clear cut. If it's one player,
is it clear cut though? Is that the university's? Is it
Yes.
the university's job to police the kids? Or
Absolutely.
Is it the athletic department, or is it
both? It's both.
And you got to say both, yes, of course. But at the same time, I mean, I think it's more the athletic department, and a lot of these kids, no one knows. No one knows this is occurring.
To compare athletes to non-athletes for a second, let's say a fraternity has a problem where 2/3 of the guys in this fraternity, for instance, are in trouble for something. Lord knows what anymore. Is the university responsible for that fraternity? Yes, absolutely.
But the university,
just like they're responsible for a football team and a basketball team.
The university is actually first and foremost the actual judge and jury when it comes to that. When it comes to a fraternity,
right? Just like they should be policing and judging and jurying their college football program, but they're not.
At the same time, let's say
you see what I'm saying?
Let's say they kick that fraternity off campus. That university doesn't suffer at all for it. Years down the road,
right? So if they kick are they going to? That's what I'm saying.
What about like Reggie Bush taking all that money and then USC taking money from non-USC affiliated?
He wasn't the only
people.
one who got in trouble. Pete Carroll was in trouble for that too. Mike Williams had caused problems.
The university had no idea that was occurring, though, so they say, of course.
Right, just like they probably had no idea that those frat kids were doing A, B, and C, and D.
But they do, though. In the case of a frat, they do, because that's brought up
what I'm
for
saying
the board and stuff like that.
But what I'm saying is a football program gets swept under the rug. The problems do a lot of times. Like, you're telling me that they had, like, I don't know, who was last to get in trouble for taking money? The Arizona coach, Sean Miller, the basketball coach. You're telling me that the AD didn't know about that it didn't go up above Sean Miller, that he kept his mouth shut and all of his...
In certain situations, absolutely. I think the school is 100% involved.
Innocent?
And not innocent, 100% involved, and therefore they should be punished.
Right.
They know they're doing that, of course. It's still a college university. We're in agreement on this, but I'm bringing up devil's advocate.
No, you're good. You're good. I just think I think that sports are a business at this point. College sports, major college sports,
yes.
And I think they should be treated as such. I think if
we'll rock that as a topic.
If you've got 10 brokers that whatever business firm you want to talk about.
And their firm is held accountable for
exactly.
it.
Just like if a football team is corrupt, if a bunch of Ohio State players are doing shit they shouldn't, selling their selling their jerseys for tattoos.
Who would do such a thing? Sell tattoos? Never mind.
Not Terrell Pryor. No, then absolutely the university is responsible. And I also don't think that the NCAA tries to punish the university. They try to punish that sports program. For instance, scholarships cut from that sport, bowl games, banners taken down, etc.
Cost that school money. Exactly. It's still a business for that school, so they are suffering for it.
Oh, they're suffering for it, but I think
I think honestly, I think they should.
Yeah,
I think they should. But again, you can see the argument.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where it comes from and stuff. So
because you can, in theory, you can police it and you can punish every individual person, but at some point that university has to be held responsible for A, its employees, right, the coaches and the administrators, and B, its students, because at the end of the day, they're student athletes. They do still represent that university. Yeah, that's how I see it.
What do you got? What do you got next, buddy? We got time for one more topic.
One more.
Probably.
Let's see. Okay, so for 10, 15 years during the BCS, all we complained about was wanting a college football playoff. That's all we wanted. And now the college football playoff is here, and every year, whoever has been fifth, sometimes even sixth and seventh, has had a major gripe with the playoff. So this is a two-part question. Part one is, has the playoff solved anything, or was the BCS in the playoff? Is it like the lesser of two evils?
I think the playoff has solved. The fact of the matter is we have what you feel, what I would feel, what hopefully most people feel as the two best teams in the country playing for the national championship. That was my beef with the BCS because it was all computerized and stuff. Of course, the polls were involved in that calculation and stuff like that. However, in the playoffs, you have that chance. Typically you can narrow it down to about the top 6 teams right in the country that are probably that even have a chance. In recent years, we know it's either Clemson or Alabama. Those are easily by far the top two. Top 2 teams in the country. And guess what? They show it. They play for the national championship. I think that's exactly what the playoffs wanted to do. You want the best team winning that national championship game.
That's what
you want.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though last year's national championship game was a snoozer for it was a blowout.
But it surprised everyone. No one expected that.
One of the biggest letdowns in the year.
Yeah,
so.
No, I agree with you that I think it's better than the BCS. But part two is, do you think that an 8-team playoff would be better or worse for college football? Not talking, obviously, business-wise, it makes sense. You got 4 extra games.
Are you talking for to make it more exciting and stuff?
I'm saying, do you ever see a 5 through an 8 team making it even making it to the final?
That's exactly what I was going to say, G. Basically, like I just said, you pretty much know the top 6 best teams in the country.
So do you give?
And you also know that 5 and 6 are not going to beat 1 and 2 in a playoff. Of course, I'm talking 8 times out of 10.
Yeah,
1 and 2 are going to win those games.
So I guess the argument, I don't know if I care. I like both formats. I would love an 8 team because there's more games, But
that's true.
I think the argument for it is it allows every year you have an at-large from a non-Power 5 conference, so your UCF debate gets settled every year.
Yep.
They don't have to print their own national championship shirt. Right.
Fine, stick UCF up against Alabama because that's what would happen.
But also, teams don't get punished for a late season loss as often. In no effort to be a homer, take Michigan the year we lost to Ohio State. We were a playoff team going into that. And it also gives a little bit of wiggle room for an off game. That loss to Iowa when Wilton Speight got hurt doesn't hurt Michigan as bad if 8 teams are getting in the playoff. So do you think that, and what you said I agree with, your 5 and 6 teams aren't usually going to beat 1 and 2. But could 6 beat 3 or 5 beat 4 to get to a semifinal? Absolutely, that could happen.
And I guess
so. Because of that, I think an 8-team playoff, would it be better? I don't know. But would it allow for more storylines to develop and for 4 more?
Kind of just like the NCAA tournament, right?
But it would just be 4 more really good college football games every year. You know what I mean? Those playoff games are always great.
But like I went back to, and Ray has the only thing it would provide is a possible Cinderella story.
UCF, for instance.
But it possible, and we're talking less likely than basketball. Basketball is more parity. Like I said, it wouldn't be exciting because Alabama or Clemson would destroy Central Florida. That's not a good game. I'm not going to turn it on. Think about it, because you got 1 versus 8, right? So you have 1 versus 8, and again, I'm talking, of course, 9 out of 10 times that's going to happen. We're not talking every time we're talking. It's just tough, and it's it's hard to say that it would make it better. I agree it would be more playoff games, but those games aren't going to be. I mean, you don't watch the bowl games even when there's more parity.
But they don't matter. Games. That's the difference. There are 4 games that matter because
it's not going to matter though, because you already know, like, it's rare to watch. We watch the NCAA basketball tournament simply because we have a chance of at least a 15 beating a 2.
Yep.
16 versus a 1. That's rare. It's only happened one time, right?
But we still watch them.
Well, of course.
So why wouldn't you watch?
No, we watched them all this year.
We all watched UMBC play Virginia
because it was. I had them all on, so that was.
No, I'm saying last year. When UMBC beat Virginia, we all watched that game. Whatever bar you were at, no matter how drunk you were, you turned it on for the second half.
We tuned in the second half.
Right. So you're telling me if UCF hangs for the first half with Alabama and it's 13-10 at the break, we're not going to turn that game on?
People would turn it on, but they're not going to look forward to that game.
Man,
it's not exciting.
I think your 3-6 and your 4-5 matchups would be great games every year. I don't know. It says I think there'd be more top tier players. Scotty said I think there'd be more top tier players that would pass in the bowl games to avoid injury. That's happening anyway. I think that's inevitable at this point. We talked about that a lot on this podcast, like Rashawn Gary, Karan Higdon, for instance, from Michigan sitting out. I think the guy sitting out the bowl games is inevitable.
Yeah.
So why not make all BCS games a playoff game? If you win your BCS game, you're into the Final Four. That'd be interesting.
I mean, it's a great debate question, right?
Yeah.
Your dad actually says if the problem is if the number 8 team wins it all, does that make it better? No, it just means you force the top 2 or 4 teams to play their best an extra game.
That's true. But if you play, I mean, it's so tough. I just think it's an interesting debate because for the longest time we didn't want 2 teams, we wanted 4, right? And now you hear a lot of people, I think Joel Klatt is the one big analyst who's really pushing for an 8-team playoff.
A lot of schools are, a lot
of those schools that keep finishing 5 through 8 really want an 18 play. Michigan is one of those teams.
As a fan, but again, okay, so that year.
Which year? The year with Wilton Spate when we lost Ohio State in overtime?
When we
don't want to talk about it.
Sorry to bring that up.
Keep rolling.
But we got rolled, or we didn't get rolled, but we got beat by Florida State that year in the bowl game. And let's face it.
Yeah, but Jake Butt was. Then it comes back to players not playing.
Jake Butt got injured, and Jabril Peppers didn't even play.
Right.
But my point of that would be
we wouldn't have fared well against Alabama and Clemson
again,
that year.
I guess it just shows that we were not good.
A playoff team.
Of course, I wanted to be in the playoffs. Of course, you know this.
Right.
But of course, we would have got our butts kicked because we just weren't as good a team as we thought we were.
You're right. No,
I
don't know. I think it would be interesting to switch
even this
to
last year we got rolled by Ohio State. We would have beat Ohio State. We would have been 5th, maybe even 4th if chips fell where they
possibly if we won the Big Ten.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been 4th, and we would have got rolled. We got rolled by Florida for
Can
crying out loud.
you imagine if we had to play Clemson last year?
Oh my goodness!
Trevor
just
Lawrence,
stop.
my man crush would have shredded us.
Oh Jesus! All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, on A to G. We're gonna rock. We're going to get right into Call the 3.
For sure.
Again, thanks for joining us. Our 15th episode, folks, and it's been a blast so far. Man. So this is one of our one of our older segments of Call the 3. G, go ahead and go first this week, buddy. What do you got over there?
I'm up first. Alrighty. Number 1, best. So we talked about this. Former players, both Jim Harbaugh and Juwan Howard now are our head coaches at Michigan. Who do you think of all time, of all the players who have coached for their alma mater, let's exclude Michigan people because we're biased, we're going to, whatever, who is the best all time at becoming the head coach of their alma mater and finding success, in your opinion?
Gosh, the problem is I'm just trying to think through all the sports that it actually happened. How often has it happened?
A lot in college football. I feel like you've got just in the Big Ten right now, you've got Harbaugh, Christ, and Fitzgerald, and Scott Frost. You've got 4 of the 60. Wow, 4 of the Big Ten teams.
Frost. Right, we'll give Frost a shot.
We'll give him a D- so far. He hasn't done anything.
Well, I mean, they ended up playing really well at the end of the year last year.
I don't care. They didn't make a bowl game.
Yeah, I can't stand Nebraska. So.
You know who I think gets underappreciated? This is Pat Fitzgerald. He took a Northwestern team. They went to a Rose Bowl when he was a player, and they're a perennial bowl team. When he got there, they were not.
There's got to be some more people out there.
Paul Christ has done a great job at Wisconsin.
Because we're talking just Big Ten. It's good to narrow it down.
Like Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State has done a really good job. You've got David Shaw at Stanford. He took him to a Rose Bowl.
They still just don't pop out.
Mark Richt at Miami now. You've got I had a list. Hold on. Kirby Smart at Florida. Or I'm sorry, at Georgia. He's back at Georgia now. They've had a couple really good years under him with Fromm all the way to the national championship.
I'll give it to him.
Because in 5 years he might be a great hire for them. They've been to the
and he's already
within the
good.
playoff last year, or did they just miss because they lost the SEC championship? I don't remember.
I don't believe they were.
But the playoff in his first year with Fromm, they're one play away from winning the national championship. Tua gets sacked, and you're like, oh, Georgia wins, and then Alabama got
I would take him.
Fair enough.
Would you agree with that? Or
yeah, I think he's definitely one of my. I like Pat. I'm a big Pat Fitzgerald guy.
And he's done really well for an underachieving. Western's a tough place
for a university
to coach.
that has not won a conference title during his tenure. He has improved them drastically since he got there. That's the only reason I would throw his name in there. Number 2, this is arguably, depending on who you are, the most boring time of year for sports because if you're not an NBA guy, there's not much to watch. The Tigers suck. Baseball's boring to watch on TV anyway. What is your go-to entertainment to get you through until football stuff starts to pick back up?
I really enjoy, and it's a shame Michigan softball lost on Monday after the rain out on Sunday. They couldn't score any runs. But college baseball and college softball, really.
I was going to say I can't watch
college softball.
Fair enough.
And really, it's just kind of a regeneration period in terms of sports for me anyway. I will watch the Women's World Cup because I just think that
I was going to say for me it's every summer there's like some sorts like whether it's the Summer Olympics, a Men's World Cup or a Women's World Cup, there's really rarely a summer with nothing going on.
That's true.
I just try to I'll dive into whatever it is. If it's the Summer Olympics, I'm like I'm watching the
I love the Summer Olympics.
I'm watching no, that's Winter Olympics, dummy. I'm watching men's volleyball. I'll watch anything if it's a Summer Olympics.
To be honest, I like both Winter and Summer Olympics.
Yeah, no, so do I. That's what I'm saying. If it's the Women's World Cup, I'm gonna follow Team USA.
But yeah, you're spot on. Diving into something that actually is on is pretty much it. But if I had to pick a sport, I love like the College World Series for both men's and women's.
Yeah.
I like softball and baseball. I missed old Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha.
Yeah,
they had to go
the old College World
and,
Series.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Right.
What
about the
Little
League?
Just used to bomb. Oh, Little League World Series.
That's coming up.
There you go. Yeah,
that's always exciting. I'll watch that from like the qualifying. Oh god, yeah,
those kids are awesome.
Yeah,
so.
That's the most exciting kind of baseball there is to watch.
Yeah, yep, I agree.
Come at me with your MLB arguments. Last one, Drake, the rapper, has become a bit of a nuisance at these NBA games, at these playoff games. Yesterday, he touched the head coach. He gave him like a little
back massage or neck massage there. Yeah,
but like if I paid, I don't know how much Drake. I'm sure they probably don't make Drake pay. I don't know how much the other people in the front row are paying. If I'm willing to pay that, I'm not allowed to go up to the coach and give him the old shoulder rub. What is your thoughts on Drake? Is he actually a problem? Is he a bigger problem for the Raptors or for the NBA? Is he setting a precedent that these celebrities can kind of act how they want at these games?
Exactly. That's the problem. And of course, people are making a joke about it. It's not a serious thing. That's the problem. But they're making a joke about it. Exactly.
It should be. There's an out of bounds line for a reason. As a fan, you should never cross
attitude it. Yeah, and we talked about this before about fans, how close they are to
in the NBA, in the NBA specifically.
Like let's not. We're making a mockery out of this, and you're right. Other celebrities are going to think that this is okay to do. And what happens when it's a negative thing?
Well, and who I compare
what happens?
I compare him to Spike Lee. Spike Lee, obviously, longtime Knicks fan, even well before I was.
He just talks a lot of smack.
He talks junk, but he has never crossed the sideline. He's never touched a player. He's never had an altercation. Like, not that Drake has had an altercation, but Drake was directly in the face, clapping in the Bucks players' faces as they walked back. And we're going to get the argument that they're NBA players, they can handle it. But at some point, there has to be a line drawn in the sand somewhere.
And that's my point as well, G, is
like physical contact with coaches and players is not okay.
Stuff is handling this and just portraying it as it's a joke.
Well, they're saying, it's Drake. Yeah. It's Drake, so he can do it.
So what?
Well, if I buy a front row ticket, I can't do it.
You are setting a terrible precedent for it. Exactly. Right. You could pay just as much money as Drake.
Exactly.
And Garrett Collier's out there, give it just... It could be. It's playful.
Right.
No.
Right.
You cannot do that.
He hasn't touched any Bucks players or the Bucks coach.
You cannot touch the participants of the sport.
Yeah, I agree.
Of the sport.
Raymond said golf and Tiger in the majors for the summertime. That's a great... I guess I always look forward to the Masters is the one for me. Like
that's kind of the spring though and stuff.
Right. I mean, like we got the British Open and the U.S. Open still, and like the Ryder Cup in the summertime. Wait, is that in the summertime? I don't know when the Ryder Cup is, but yeah, there are good golf tournaments. But like, it's just not something. I love Tiger. I'll watch as much golf as I can. But it doesn't.
I guess I'll tune into the majors.
It doesn't give me the fix like college football does, man.
And let's face it, guys. If it wasn't for Tiger,
yeah.
Did you guys see the ratings just plummet after last weekend's like Thursday, Friday rounds. And Tiger
Brooks is up 7 and Tiger misses the cut. No one's watching Saturday
Brooks
and
is
Sunday.
just boring. Good Lord, is he boring.
He is. He's great. But
he's a great player. Not arguing that.
Probably more females watching because of how yoked he is. He's just jacked.
He is. Well, he brags about being in the gym all the time. So, all right, G. Great questions.
Go ahead, man.
Let's rock to you. There are many sports that people consider not real sports. Give me your main sport that you do not consider a real sport.
You're going to get me in so much trouble for this. Listen, if any of y'all watching share this. So when I was 17, I got into this big Twitter argument with a bunch of the cheerleaders at my high school because he's
going to say cheerleading?
I tweeted publicly that cheerleading is not a sport. Now, I have since retracted that statement, and I have made an amendment. I think competitive cheer is difficult and requires some level of athleticism.
Ooh.
But sideline cheer is an effing joke, especially at the high school level. That is not a sport. You should not be allowed to earn a varsity jacket for it. It's not a sport. This is going to get me in trouble with people who are good at this sport. I think bowling is BS, man. I think it's partially because I can't figure it out.
Okay.
But here's my rule. I have a very simple rule for what is a sport and what isn't. If you weigh over 250 pounds and you can be successful in every facet of that sport, that's why football is a sport, is because you can't. If you can be successful in every facet of it at over 250 pounds, it's not a sport. So I've seen some fat ass bowlers.
That's true.
So I think bowling's not a sport. I think bowling is an activity.
Athletically wise, I think I would agree. So then I would go into things. Okay, so I go with what I see on ESPN, right? Mine is poker. Why the heck is World Series of Poker?
Poker is a very fun game to watch if you like poker, but it's not a sport. I completely agree.
Call it a game, right? Of course, it's a game. The second would be like they broadcast like chess tournaments sometimes. I'm like, okay, chess is not a sport.
Chess is a game, not a sport.
Yep, exactly. And then I agree with like pool and stuff like that.
Pool's not a sport. Pool's a game, a very competitive game, but not a sport. Yeah. Here's what I think people get confused. I think people get confused skill and athleticism a lot of times. Does that make sense? I think people think that, pool is difficult. People, for instance, if I said pool is not a sport and you were a pool player, you would say, well, you can't do it. You're right.
Correct.
It does require a very specific skill that I do not have. That doesn't make it a sport.
Correct.
Math at a certain level requires a skill that I don't have. It's not a sport.
I won't call playing a musical
spelling bees on
instrument.
ESPN. That's not a sport.
Right.
It's a contest. ESPN, I think, has just decided we're going to broadcast any contest that has interest.
That's exactly it.
Just because it's a contest does not make it a sport. My dad said MMA and boxing are 250-pound people. What I said was you cannot be successful.
That's true. Yep.
No,
you did say that.
Because
I was going to jump on him as well.
I said you have to be successful in every facet of that at over 250. Pool, you can be good at every part of pool at 280 pounds. You cannot be good at every part of boxing over 250 pounds. You lack cardio and you lack speed. Therefore, boxing is a sport. Chrissy said 3-hour practices every day, even weekends, with people climbing on my shoulders, doing flips, etc. Some level of athleticism. Listen.
If you knew you were going to get in trouble for this
I know. But I promise I got in like a 2-week debate on Twitter with the high school cheerleaders about
All right,
this.
well, we do have just a couple minutes, G, so
You're good. I'll wrap it up.
You got 2 more questions, too, so.
There are people that went to my high school that were on the cheerleading team that earned their varsity jacket for it, that I could have done everything they did, and that someone 250 pounds plus could have done everything they did. They could have been at every practice. Because,
and Chrissy, don't forget, he did say competitive cheer was.
Competitive cheer is. That's
saying sideline when y'all telling people what to say.
When you're going, that's not a sport.
Yeah.
Not a sport. Go ahead.
Fair enough. Well, I like it. We could
Scotty
get into
said
that.
Pool, congrats, you're good at geometry. Dude, no shit.
Oh, man. All right, big weekend of racing coming up. I know you're not huge into auto racing. G,
is that a sport?
Yeah, I mean,
no, it's a contest, man.
No, racing is definitely a sport.
It's a contest. Anyway.
I gotta say, racing is a sport because the G-force that you have to endure. And by the way, you can't be 250 pounds in that.
Well, you don't fit in the car. That's
no, they can make customs because T. Stu used to be 250 pounds, but he couldn't withstand the heat, so he had to drop a bunch of weight and stuff like that.
All right, maybe you're right. What about
it's physically demanding? How about that?
What about those cars that there's more airflow to them? Could he have done that at 250?
No, I don't think so, buddy.
So I'm just messing with you at this point, man.
Let's see. So, what is your favorite auto racing event or event?
Easy Brickyard 400.
Nice.
I just think it's kissing the bricks. Indy's a cool track. It's like almost a square. I don't
So
know.
you like the NASCAR event or the Indy 500?
No, I like the NASCAR.
NASCAR?
I think the reason I like the NASCAR event more is because when I was a kid, my dad watched NASCAR. That's how I met you. At MIS.
First time me and G met was
I was about 10 years old, and your drunk ass was at MIS with two.
I was not drinking, folks. Come on.
That's a lie, but
Mom,
anyway.
if you're watching.
Oh yeah, sorry, Mama Amble. No, but I've always watched a little bit of NASCAR with my dad. My dad was like a Jeff Gordon fan, and I'd watch it a little bit on Sundays sometimes with him. And then I just think them kissing the bricks when they get done the milk.
That's a great call. I'm a big fan of the Indy 500. I love the Daytona 500.
Indy's fun to watch.
This weekend. The only reason I bring it up is because Memorial Day, you got the Indy 500 and the Coke 600, so the longest NASCAR race of the season.
We've talked about this. This is when, educate me if I'm incorrect, but they go a few guys will do the Indy 500, get in a helicopter and fly to Charlotte, and that's insane, man. That's crazy. 1,100 miles in a day.
How about that for athleticism?
That's endurance, man. You're right. You're right.
That's a good call.
What do they get, like Subway and a bunch of water in the helicopter?
Yeah, exactly.
Fly down to
Free
Charlotte?
Subway because they're a sponsor.
Yeah, right.
All right, G, and the last one. So you're able to watch the final season of Game of Thrones. We'd be amiss if we didn't discuss it. G, what'd you think of the last episode?
Man. I'm not as disappointed as everyone else. I thought it was good. I think that it leaves there's like several spin-offs that can happen.
You have not watched every episode,
no,
right?
I missed a lot of season 6 and 7 because I had to catch up and watch the rest of 8 before the last episode. But no, I think I saw a tweet, for instance, that said, why is Arya going west of Westeros? Because that's a Game of Thrones spinoff waiting to be written.
Right.
5 years from now, we could go revisit Arya Stark and where she's
the
at
new
west.
Columbus
and Jon Snow going north with the wildlings. Like there's so much that could happen from those. I think obviously everybody's talking about the scene with Jon and Daenerys.
Yeah. I mean, let's not have a recap. What did you?
Wild.
Yeah, sorry, because we do have to.
No, you're good.
Get rolling here. But yeah, from an actual, the score was awesome. Game of Thrones is so good at playing the right music at the right time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because I didn't want to get in the specifics of the actual episode. Of course, we all have our opinions. No, you're good, G. Because just disappointing in Garrett's answer. I'll tell you.
Sorry, man.
Sorry, G. But and also the production of it is fantastic.
Yeah, man.
Them walking through the street with the ash and stuff.
The shot
like that
of
at the start.
Danny with the dragon behind her.
That was sick.
I got chills, man.
Yeah.
It was wild.
I got chills right now.
Yeah, thinking about
that.
Dude,
was awesome.
That was cool.
So that's what I'm talking about. Like a lot of people were disappointed how it ended.
No.
But in terms of the episodes of every episode,
the show's great, man.
In the 8th season,
I think it's got to go down as one of the top 3 television shows. I mean, I know it's the most watched, but like just in general, that'll go down as one of the top 3 TV shows of all time. I think. It's fantastic.
I agree. That was fantastic in terms of the production of it. The score has been great since the start
Season
of it. So it's just been fantastic. So that ends Call the 3, folks. But we will have some other quick news. Let's see. We got Memorial Day weekend coming up.
Yes, sir.
What do you got going on this weekend, buddy?
Busy, man. Friday and Sunday, I'm at Grand River Brewery right across the street, kind of, sort of here. And then on Saturday, in the middle, I'm at Hooligans down in Adrian. So gigs all 3 days this weekend.
Later at night or?
6 to 9, 8 to 11, and 5 to 8. So kind of, not too bad.
Cool.
Evening, dinner time music for sure. Be more chill and laid back. I won't be hyped up the whole time.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we'll be on the lake pretty much all weekend, but I'll be heading back into town and stuff.
Hell yeah, man. Sure. I'll shoot you a text.
Got a special visitor from Denver coming in and stuff like that, so we'll be hanging out all weekend.
There you go, man.
Hopefully the weather holds off.
Dude, I'm hoping. I'm trying to play golf this weekend. It's the holiday. See some family, play some golf.
Right on.
Play some music.
Awesome, buddy. Well, that'll do it for us. Again, folks, thanks for joining us on A to G. Another solid night. Don't forget to share this episode. It'll be out on Facebook, obviously on my profile. I know G will share it and stuff like that. And thanks for all the comments too, guys. Thanks for joining in. That's really fun when we get all the comments and whatnot. So really, really appreciate it. Again, share it, like it. Let everyone know that every Wednesday night at 9:00, we will be back here again next Wednesday. Rolling through some Spitfire, some Call the 3. Who knows what Michigan news we'll be able to talk about.
There's been something big every
next weekend, but we hope to see all you guys there. Thanks again for joining. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Safe. Be cool out there, guys.